finally been met at the Texas Capitol after Texas House Democrats returned to Austin for the second special session and the next stage in a broader redistricting battle that's currently playing out across the country. Over 50 House Democrats, that is, including Representative Vince Perez, who represents parts of El Paso, fled the state in order to block a Republican-led redistricting effort at the direction of President Donald Trump in order to grab 5 additional seats ahead of midterms. Representative Perez says he will continue to do whatever it takes to fight new congressional maps from passing in the House. And joining me now is Representative Perez. Thank you so much for joining us today, Representative Perez from Austin. Although I know you had released a statement earlier today saying if you had it your way, you would still be out of the state breaking quorum, while your Democratic colleagues only did so enough to kind of expire that first special session. They call it a win now that a magnifying glass is on Texas's congressional maps. How would you characterize it?
Well, I think all of us are unified in wanting to defeat this map, and we have to do that any way we can, whether it be trying to break quorum or whether it be here on the floor or whether it be in the courts. We need to do all that we can to make sure this map doesn't go into effect, because it is the most segregationist map we have seen since the 1960s.
What has been your experience today at the Capitol? I know Speaker Dustin Burrows said today that any lawmaker who broke quorum and has since returned, like yourself, would be escorted by DPS around the clock. Is that what you've experienced and some of your colleagues as well?
Yes, no, that is the case. They would not let us leave the House chamber without a DPS escort, and DPS is following us home, to wherever it is that we're staying. Everybody has assigned a DPS officer. It just goes to show you the lengths that the state government is going through to intimidate the reps, to punish them for speaking out against these maps, because Republicans were hoping to pass this without any public comment or public input.
So here we are, a second special session has been called for, of course, by the governor. Same agenda, but the map, at least from our perspective, looks a little bit different. And what we've been able to gather here back in El Paso is that the El Paso International Airport and Fort Bliss is back fully within Texas 16. I know that's been a point of emphasis, a district, of course, that's represented by Congresswoman Veronica Escobar. Is that a small victory in all of this, maybe?
Well, when it comes to the level of racial segregation, it certainly isn't good that, our biggest assets like Fort Bliss would be represented by another member of Congress. But in terms of what this map does by severely underrepresenting Texas Hispanics, transferring Fort Bliss over into the 16th district doesn't change that. What Texas Republicans are seeking to do is make Texas Hispanics the most underrepresented racial and ethnic group in America in all 50 states. That remains my primary concern. It's something that I think that it's unconstitutional, and that's going to continue to be the focus. I think that anybody who looks at the racial makeup of this map and how Republicans segregated the state by race would be appalled. And so from a constitutional perspective and from the Voting Rights Act perspective, that still remains the most egregious thing that Republicans did with this map.
And we're now seeing an effort by other Democratic states to redraw their own congressional maps in response to, obviously, what Texas is doing. What is your position on those efforts? I know we've heard former El Paso Congressman Beto O'Rourke say Democrats need to fight fire with fire, but if it's gerrymandering in Texas, it's largely viewed that the same in California. Is the actual voter getting lost in all of this?
Well, first, let me be very clear. No other state is doing or proposing what Texas is proposing. Again, we have not seen a map like this in Texas since the 1960s, and that is not an overstatement. Again, when you look at the racial makeup of this map, Texas white residents and Texas Latinos roughly have the same population in Texas, but 26 of the 38 seats will be controlled by white Texans. That means that the value of a Latino resident in Texas holds 1/3 the value of a white resident in Texas. Black residents in Texas have 1/5 the value of a white resident. That just goes to show you how skewed these maps are on a racial basis. What California is proposing is not racial segregation at all. And so if you look at any state in the country, no state compares to the 11 former slaveholding states, such as Texas, that have a history of discrimination. So just to be clear, even though California is proposing to respond to what Texas is doing, because it is severely discriminating against its people, California is in no way engaging in the same level of racial discrimination and segregation that Texas is proposing. So I know that Republicans like to say other states do this, or Democratic states do this, or they do this in California, or they do this in Illinois. No, they don't. California has an independent commission and does not engage in this type of gerrymandering that Texas does. But even states like Illinois that have a similar process to Texas, you look at the racial makeup, there is nowhere near the level of racial segregation that Texas is proposing. And I think that is a key difference that the public needs to understand. This isn't just a power grab. This isn't just politics as normal. This isn't the case of one political party being in power and having the power to redraw the lines. What Texas is proposing is nothing short of 1960s level segregation. They are proposing to represent 90% of all white Texans. The Republicans are proposing to be the exclusive representatives of white Texans. Everybody should be alarmed at what Texas is doing, and no state comes close to the level of racial segregation and discrimination that Texas is trying to get away with.
Representative Perez, certainly do appreciate your perspective. Thank you for taking the time with us here today.